Michael Irvin launched into a full-blown tirade after Rex Ryan questioned Shedeur Sanders' sideline antics, calling out the hypocrisy and simmering resentment fueling the criticism. Irvin wasn't having it. This wasn't just about a quarterback miming putting on a Rolex. This was about a young black athlete being dissected before ever stepping onto an NFL field. Irvin torched the conversation wide open, accusing the media and critics of organized hate masked as analysis.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Rex Ryan might have kicked things off, but Irvin took it further, exposing what he called a calculated attempt to tear down Shedeur Sanders for daring to be confident. Not arrogant. Not disrespectful. Just visibly, unapologetically sure of himself. And for that, the media pounced. Irvin called it what it was, a double standard. The kind of performative outrage that clutches pearls at Sanders' confidence while celebrating it in others. If another rookie quarterback mimed a luxury watch, it's swagger. When Shedeur does it, suddenly it's unprofessional. It's not just Shedeur being judged, it's his name. Deion Sanders' legacy casts a long shadow, and Irvin made it clear that the backlash isn't just about a viral clip. It's resentment, personal, cultural, and systemic. When you come from a family like the Sanders, you don't just play the game. You inherit a target. And before Shedeur even takes an NFL snap, he's already being treated like he owes humility to people who never gave him a chance to begin with. Irvin didn't just defend Sanders, he dared the media to reflect. Why does confidence from one player read as leadership, but from Shedeur it's ego? Why is the conversation so loud when he celebrates, but silent when others flex harder without the surname? The issue isn't a celebration, it's who's doing it. Irvin argued this isn't random criticism. It's systemic bias wrapped in concerned trolling. A kid who's done everything right is being painted as entitled because he believes in himself. And still, Irvin warned, Shedeur will prove them wrong. Because unlike his critics, Shedeur isn't performing for approval. He's preparing for domination. Let them whine about personality, Shedeur's focused on results. Irvin doubled down on one truth: confidence doesn't need permission. And when Shedeur finally steps on that field, he won't just carry the ball. He'll carry the weight of a name that refuses to shrink for anybody. So there you are watching what's supposed to be just another round of football talk. Rex Ryan throwing out bold takes like he's auditioning for a reboot of First Take. Unfiltered. And then bam. The conversation takes a turn. Shedeur Sanders is suddenly in the spotlight, but not for his arm or his stats. Nope, the heat is on because of a miming celebration? A quick hand gesture after a touchdown? And just like that, we're not talking football anymore. We're talking image, personality, legacy, and who gets to express themselves without catching a wave of criticism. Rex Ryan and the media? They zero in like it's open season. But this time, Michael Irvin is not letting it slide. Irvin goes off. Not just a quick defense. He launches a full-blown, chest-thumping, mic-shaking rant on live TV, and every word hits harder than the last. According to Irvin, what we're watching isn't just commentary gone wrong, it's the same old pattern of targeted hate. A young quarterback, not even in the NFL yet, already being dragged for having confidence. And make no mistake, this isn't just about Shedeur. This is about what he represents. A new generation. A famous name. A legacy that people love to criticize the second it shows a little pride. Irvin breaks it down plain and simple. Confidence? That's a requirement in the NFL. It's not optional. If you step onto that field doubting yourself, you're done. And Shedeur? He's got the confidence. He should have it. He's been groomed for this. He's been tested. His father is Deion Sanders. He's lived inside the world of expectation since before he was old enough to hold a helmet. So yeah, he's going to carry himself like someone who knows he belongs. But when he does it, when he mimics holding a watch or flexes after a big play, suddenly it's too much. Suddenly we're talking about attitude and humility, and whether he's ready for the NFL spotlight. Michael Irvin wasn't having any of it. He called it what it is, a double standard. Because let's be real, if this were another young quarterback, someone without the Sanders last name, someone with a different background, would anyone be flipping out over a touchdown celebration? No. It would be praised as swagger, leadership, passion. But Shedeur does it, and now it's a media segment? Irvin laid into the hypocrisy. The fact that other players can throw the same shade, show the same fire, and get labeled as gritty or competitive, while Shedeur gets painted as arrogant or immature. It's exhausting, and Irvin wasn't about to let it slide under the radar. And then came the real kicker. Irvin pointed out that Shedeur hasn't even taken a single NFL snap. Not one. He's being judged, dissected, and dragged over personality traits before he's even had the chance to prove himself on the field. That's not criticism. That's bias. That's agenda. It's easy to pretend this is all just part of the game. That criticism comes with the territory. But when it's this focused, this loud, and this early, it starts to look a lot like personal resentment. Like jealousy. Like people in the media just waiting to knock a young black quarterback down a few pegs because of who his father is and how confidently he carries himself. And Irvin? He said the quiet part out loud. The media loves to stir the pot when it comes to the Sanders family. There's an obsession with the name, a fixation on finding cracks in the legacy. And it's not just about the player, it's about the image they project. The audacity to be confident. The nerve to believe in themselves before the media gives them permission. Irvin's rant wasn't just emotional, it was surgical. He broke down exactly how the criticism works. The snide remarks, the cherry-picked clips, the narrative building. He called out how easily people fall into this trap of humbling athletes who don't fit their mold of quiet compliance. And Rex Ryan? He became the face of that criticism whether he intended to or not. Irvin didn't sugarcoat it. He said what everyone else was thinking, that Ryan's comments weren't just football analysis. They were a reflection of a deeper, more systemic bias. A need to control the narrative around who gets to be confident and who doesn't. And the wild part? Irvin didn't even fully villainize Ryan. He actually acknowledged that Ryan has always been bold and opinionated. That's part of his brand. But that's what made Irvin's defense of Shedeur even more powerful, because he wasn't playing favorites. He was pointing out how the media ecosystem feeds off double standards. One guy's fire is leadership. Another's is ego. That's the trap Shedeur is walking into. And Irvin is sounding the alarm before it swallows him whole. He called on the media to do better. To give Shedeur the same grace they give every other rookie quarterback with potential. To let him play before deciding who he is. Because if we're being honest, the backlash isn't about a celebration. It's about discomfort with confidence coming from someone who hasn't been approved yet by the system. Irvin's words weren't just a defense, they were a challenge. A dare for the media to take a step back and really ask themselves why Shedeur Sanders makes them so uncomfortable. Is it because of what he's done? Or is it because of what he represents? And this entire blow-up? It's just the beginning. Because Irvin made one thing very clear, Shedeur is coming. He's going to get his shot. And when he does, the talking will stop. The plays will speak louder than the headlines. The stats will drown out the speculation. And when that moment comes, Irvin believes Sanders will silence every critic with the one thing that can't be debated, results. Because at the end of the day, talent wins. Preparation wins. And confidence? That's not a flaw, it's a requirement. Shedeur Sanders didn't build himself up out of thin air. He's been developing, training, working for this moment his entire life. The miming celebration wasn't arrogance, it was certainty. It was the body language of someone who knows he's ready, no matter what anyone on a panel says. And when you really zoom out, the criticism reveals something much uglier. The culture of tearing down athletes before they even step on the field. The need to project insecurities and resentment onto the next generation. It's tired. And it's transparent. Irvin pulled the curtain back. He exposed how these narratives get built and how quickly they can damage a reputation that hasn't even been formed yet. And in doing so, he reminded everyone watching that this isn't just about football. It's about how we treat people with confidence. How we handle legacy. How we view family names like Sanders through a lens that's already cracked with bias. Shedeur doesn't owe anyone humility just because they're uncomfortable with his personality. He owes the game his best. And if Irvin's right, and let's be honest, he usually is, then we're all about to see what that looks like. So whether you're rooting for Shedeur or still not sold on the hype, just know this. The hate is loud now, but it won't matter once the season starts. Once he's out there, reading defenses and launching passes, all the miming in the world won't change what the scoreboard says. And if Irvin's prediction comes true, that scoreboard's going to speak volumes. Don't blink. Because the media's already writing the story before it's even started. But Shedeur Sanders? He's about to write his own chapter, and it's not going to look like anything they expected. If you're tired of the double standards and sick of watching young talent get torn apart before they even get a chance to prove themselves, drop a comment and let us know what you think. Is Shedeur being unfairly targeted, or is this just how the game works now? And if you're riding with the Sanders legacy, confidence and all, make sure you're subscribed. This saga is just getting started. When Michael Irvin speaks, especially like that, he's not just yelling into the void. He's channeling something a lot of people have been feeling for a while now. The undercurrent of frustration. The exhaustion with how media narratives are spun before anyone has even stepped foot on the field. The performative outrage over a moment of celebration, as if confidence is some kind of character flaw. And Shedeur Sanders? He's just the latest target. Let's not act like this is new. We've seen it happen before. A young black quarterback with swagger, with talent, with a famous name, it's like blood in the water. The criticism doesn't come slow and steady. It's a flood. Suddenly, every gesture is a headline. Every comment is a red flag. Every ounce of self-assurance becomes cockiness. It's exhausting. And Michael Irvin in that moment was done pretending it wasn't personal. Because it is personal. You can feel it in the way Shedeur is talked about. The tone. The framing. The way his family's legacy is held against him instead of celebrated. Like having Deion Sanders as your father is some sort of disqualifier instead of a mark of excellence. Irvin didn't just defend Shedeur, he defended the right to believe in yourself without being punished for it. He reminded everyone that the NFL is built on confidence. On larger-than-life personalities. On people who walk into rooms and make you feel their presence before they even speak. So why is it, when Shedeur does it, it becomes a problem? Why is his watch miming seen as arrogance, when the same energy from other players gets called moxie? There's a very specific, very selective memory going on in the media right now. Because we've all watched QBs flex on the field, trash talk on the sidelines, and celebrate like they just conquered the world, and they're celebrated for it. They're icons. They're culture. But Shedeur flashes a little swagger, and suddenly people are questioning his readiness. Irvin's point wasn't just about football, it was about fairness. And he wasn't asking for special treatment for Shedeur. He was asking for equal treatment. That's it. The same benefit of the doubt. The same space to grow. The same room to develop an identity without being boxed in by preconceived narratives. But that's what the Sanders name does. It brings the spotlight whether you're ready or not. And Shedeur? He's ready. Irvin knows it. That's why he went so hard. He sees what's coming. He knows Shedeur isn't just some hype machine fueled by YouTube clips and famous bloodlines. He's a quarterback who's been grinding. Who has the stats, the vision, the poise. He's not miming because he wants attention. He's miming because he knows he earned that moment. And here's the wild part. This is all happening before the draft. That's what makes Irvin's rant hit even harder. Shedeur hasn't even been drafted yet, and the noise is already at max volume. It's not about his throwing mechanics or game IQ. It's about optics. It's about what people think he represents, not what he's actually done. And Irvin sees straight through that. He's calling out the pattern. How the media spins stories around certain athletes because it's easier to criticize than to understand. It's easier to question than to contextualize. It's easier to tear down a confident young black athlete than to admit that maybe, just maybe, he's exactly as good as he says he is. And let's talk about what Irvin didn't say outright, but you could feel all over his face. It's not just jealousy. It's resentment. It's this collective irritation from people who don't like seeing the Sanders family win on their own terms. Deion changed the game in college football, literally, and now his son is coming in hot, unapologetic, talented, and fully aware of the pressure on his back. That rubs people the wrong way. But guess what? That pressure doesn't shake Shedeur. It fuels him. And Irvin sees the bigger picture. He knows Shedeur isn't playing just for himself, he's playing for every kid told to be humble, when what they really needed to be was bold. He's playing for every young quarterback who's been told to tone it down, wait their turn, and earn the right to believe in themselves, while others are praised for that same fire right out of the gate. And yes, Irvin was emotional. But it wasn't overblown. It was necessary. Because someone has to say it. Someone has to challenge the cycle of media hypocrisy that eats up young stars before they even get a fair shot. And who better than Irvin? A Hall of Famer who knows what it takes to walk into a league that doesn't always welcome you with open arms. Irvin knows exactly what Shedeur is about to walk into. He knows the NFL doesn't just test your skills, it tests your psyche. It pokes at your self-worth. And if you don't have a backbone of steel, if you don't believe in yourself with everything you've got, it will chew you up. So yeah, Shedeur miming a watch? That's not arrogance. That's armor. And what really rattles the media is that Shedeur doesn't seem scared. He's not playing the humble prodigy. He's not shrinking himself to make critics more comfortable. He's walking in like he belongs, and that's threatening to people who don't think he's paid his dues yet. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Shedeur has paid his dues. Just not in the way some people are used to. He didn't take the conventional path. He took the path that forced him to prove himself outside of the mainstream spotlight. He thrived in a system most quarterbacks wouldn't survive. And now, when it's time to step into the biggest arena of his life, he's not faking humility for show. He's embracing who he is. And if the media doesn't like that, too bad. Because as Irvin made crystal clear, the only thing that matters now is what Shedeur does when the lights come on. Not what Rex Ryan thinks. Not what the talking heads on TV say. Not how a hand gesture is interpreted. What will matter is the drive. The reads. The touchdowns. The leadership. The poise. That's how you shut down the noise. Not by responding to every critique, but by letting your performance speak for itself. And if Irvin's right, and again he usually is, then Shedeur Sanders is going to make a whole lot of people uncomfortable for a very long time. Not because he's cocky, but because he's ready. And because he refuses to make himself smaller to fit into anyone's box. So what now? Now we wait. We watch. We see how the story unfolds. But one thing's for sure, the pressure has already started and Shedeur hasn't even taken a snap. That alone tells you how powerful his presence is. The hate? It's not about who he is. It's about what he represents. And if the media can't handle a confident, talented, legacy-driven quarterback who refuses to dim his light, then maybe the problem isn't Shedeur. Maybe it's them. The league isn't just getting a quarterback, it's getting a storm. A media magnet. A generational name. A player who doesn't just want to win, he wants to own the moment. And that's what really has people sweating. Michael Irvin didn't say all of that just to protect a young player. He said it because he knows what happens next. He's been in locker rooms. He's seen the pressure crush people who were more polished, more media-trained, more agreeable. Shedeur's not that. He's walking into this league with his chin up, chest out, and critics already circling like vultures, and he's still unfazed. That's exactly why Irvin had to step in. Because the vultures don't stop circling unless somebody throws a rock. And Irvin threw one right through the broadcast window. Let's go back to this whole miming controversy for a second. A mimed watch. That's what triggered all this discourse. That's what sent media personalities spiraling into debates about ego and leadership and what kind of tone a rookie should set. You'd think Shedeur was taunting a grieving fanbase or stomping on a rival team's logo mid-game. But no, it was a celebration. A flex. A moment of self-affirmation that somehow turned into a referendum on his entire personality. What? Because it wasn't just about the gesture. It was about who made it. And that's what Irvin kept hammering home. That people are using these micro-moments to discredit an entire human being. It's not an accident. It's not harmless commentary. It's systemic. It's intentional. And it's familiar. We've seen it before. When Cam Newton danced, it was disrespectful. When Baker Mayfield planted a flag, it was passion. When Joe Burrow wore sunglasses and cigars, it was cool. When Shedeur mimics a Rolex, suddenly it's arrogance that needs to be checked. The double standard is as loud as the stadium crowds. Irvin didn't tiptoe around it. He said it out loud. There's an organized narrative forming, and it's targeting Shedeur before he's even had the chance to throw a professional pass. That's not football talk. That's bias. And not just individual bias, institutional bias. The kind that comes baked into the media machine, where young black quarterbacks are expected to prove humility first and confidence second. It's exhausting. And Irvin had enough. And what really seals the hypocrisy is how quickly the same media that tears down Shedeur will pivot the second he succeeds. If he walks onto that field and starts lighting up defenses, they'll pretend like none of this happened. Like they weren't the ones calling him immature, arrogant, or not ready. They'll rebrand him as competitive, fearless, maybe even refreshingly honest. But now, they're trying to clip his wings before he even flies. And Irvin's message was clear: don't fall for it. Don't let the noise distract from the truth. Shedeur is ready. Not just physically but mentally. And more importantly, he's been ready. Because when you grow up with Deion Sanders as your dad, you don't get to be mediocre. You don't get to be shy. You either rise to the pressure or get buried by it. Shedeur rose. That's why this backlash is so ironic. They're criticizing the very qualities that make him dangerous. The self-belief, the mental toughness, the ice-cold focus, the quiet fire beneath the surface that says, I know who I am. I know what I can do. And I don't need your approval to show it. But the media can't control that. They can't shape him. They can't mold his image into something safe and palatable. And that terrifies them. Because if they can't control the narrative, they'll try to kill it. They'll question his leadership style. They'll pick apart his post-game interviews. They'll whisper about off-the-field distractions. Anything to create doubt. To plant seeds of second-guessing before the season even starts. It's the oldest trick in the book, and Michael Irvin just ripped the pages out on live television. He said what needed to be said. He looked straight into the camera and reminded people that confidence is not the enemy. It's the engine. It's what every great quarterback needs. You don't step into the NFL timid. You don't whisper your way to success. You speak with your chest. You walk like you belong. You act like the game is already yours, and then you go prove it. And when Shedeur finally gets that chance, the excuses will melt. The critiques will shift. The same talking heads who questioned his confidence will suddenly say, "We always knew he had it in him." But we'll remember. We'll remember how loud the hate was. How early it started. How ridiculous it got over a watch mime. And Shedeur? He'll remember too. He's keeping receipts. Quietly, methodically, the way all great players do. He's not wasting energy clapping back. He's getting ready to let his game do the talking. Michael Irvin knows that feeling. That moment when the lights hit and the crowd roars and all the noise disappears. When it's just you and the ball and the play you've been waiting your whole life to run. That's what Irvin was defending, that moment. The right for Shedeur to get there without being buried under layers of media scrutiny and bitterness. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't a problem. He's a product. A product of greatness. Of work. Of generational excellence. He's walking in with a last name that echoes across every football field in America, and he's not shrinking under it. He's carrying it forward. Irvin's rant was more than defense. It was a warning shot. A reminder that the game has changed. That young athletes aren't playing by the old rules anymore. They're not waiting for your permission to be bold. They're not interested in fake humility to make you feel more comfortable. They're coming in loud, proud, and prepared. And Shedeur is leading that charge. So as the season creeps closer and the noise ramps up, just remember where this all started. With a harmless celebration. A moment of joy. A flash of personality. And a media machine that lost its mind over it. But also remember who stood up. Michael Irvin did. Loud and clear. So now it's your turn. What do you think? Is Shedeur Sanders being unfairly targeted? Is the media jumping the gun, or are they showing their bias without even realizing it? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let it rip. And if you're here for players who don't shrink, who don't fold, who don't apologize for confidence, you're in the right place. Subscribe for more. Because if this is how the story starts, you better believe the ending is going to be wild.